Welcome to Closing the Growth Gap. I'm Ben Scanlon, co-founder of Mosaic Growth Solutions, and Closing the Growth Gap is where I share my insights on the most interesting articles on growth and marketing based on my experience assessing hundreds of B2B SaaS companies and helping drive millions in growth. We have a number of great topics today to help you grow your business. First up, Mark Evans says companies are not investing enough in brand building, and he has a few theories as to why this is. Number two, Andrew Ansley goes through the Google algorithm leak in great detail. We come up with three critical takeaways in terms of driving growth from an SEO perspective. And then finally, Neeti Patel says growth doesn't just reside with the go-to-market team or the marketing team. It's really a company-wide initiative, and CEOs need to realize this. So let's get started. Okay, let's get started with this post from Mark Evans. He says, sadly, brand building isn't a priority for most B2B SaaS companies, but it's a missed opportunity and a strategic mistake. Instead, B2B SaaS companies are focused on non-brand building activities up and down the sales funnel. And he has a few theories as to why this is. Number one, in an instant gratification world, brand isn't sexy or a priority. It's a slow burn rather than a raging fire. It usually doesn't generate short-term results. Number two, while CMOs know that brand is important, they're reluctant to allocate budget given the demand for leads and sales. Number three, in B2B SaaS, the product is king. And number four, in fiercely competitive markets struggling with slow growth, it's hard to spend money on a long-term proposition like brand. It is easy to spend money on things that could move the needle quickly. And so I agree with what he's saying here is that basically because people are looking for short-term results, they're going to invest in short-term tactics, things they think are going to have an immediate impact. But beyond this, I think there's two other reasons why marketers don't invest in brand enough. And the first one is because they position things as brand marketing versus performance marketing. As I've said many times, that's a terrible paradigm. That's a terrible way to present brand marketing because brand marketing generates performance. So why do we continue to call it brand marketing and position against performance marketing? The term brand marketing just needs to be retired. And the other factor of this is that just brand marketing isn't a goal. It doesn't say this is what our objective is. I mean, brand awareness is closer, but what we are really trying to do is saying we want people to think about our brand at the point of purchase, which is mental availability. And so everyone could sign off on the idea that we want our brand to be thought of at the time of decision. But if you're just saying brand marketing, what's the goal there? What's the end goal there? It doesn't make any sense. And the other thing that brand marketing does is that puts brand in too narrow a box. Brand is really all of your customer interactions. It's your reputation. And so when you say brand marketing, what you're really saying is company marketing, just marketing, period. So it's a term really without meaning. And then when it's positioned against performance marketing, there's no wonder why we can't sell this idea of brand building within the organization because it's a terrible term. The second reason I think that people aren't investing in brand is because a lot of senior marketers now have come up in the digital space. So when they think about what tactics are going to be effective, they think about digital tactics. They don't think about the power of brand. They're not even really aware of the power of brand. I mean, I came up in the digital space and I've done a lot of work with digital channels. And I'm relatively new to the power of brand and the power it can have in driving performance. And I think there's a lot of marketers in that bucket. And when we go to other marketers and say, hey, you should be doing brand marketing, they don't want to do brand marketing because just like I said before, they want performance and they don't really understand what the benefit of brand marketing is. So there's two factors here. One is we're doing a terrible job of selling brand building and brand awareness because of the terminology we're using. And two, a lot of senior marketers have now come up in the digital space. So they really aren't aware of the power that brand can have in driving growth. Brand awareness, mental availability can have on driving growth. So they need to be educated in terms of that. Next up, I want to take a look at this post from Andrew Ansley. And he took a look at the Google algorithm leak. And he has some really interesting insights here. He really goes in deep here. He really analyzed, he went through the entire league and came back with a lot of key points. I just want to highlight a few things because these items really have an impact on us in terms of driving growth from a business perspective. And he says these three components of Google's search algorithm directly conflict with what Google publicly discloses. And it's really interesting, but these are the three key points. So Google's denied that they exist or they're a ranking factor, But when they look at the leaked documents, they say, no, these are actually a factor. And these are the key for driving growth via organic search. First up, Google uses a site-wide authority metric. In fact, Google has a few site-wide authority signals. Traffic from Chrome browsers is one of the site-wide signals Google uses. Two, Google uses page embedding, site focus, and site radius in its scoring functions. And then three, Google measures bad clicks, good clicks, last longest clicks, site-wide impressions, etc. And so the key takeaways here are, one, is that we need to invest in our brand authority. We need to build our brand. We need to build our brand awareness. And that's not just going to happen through organic search. We need to use other tactics and other channels to build our brand. So it's looking at things like advertising, it's looking at events, it's content. What are we doing to build our brand authority? And this is really critical. And I've thought this for a while. I think this is really important. And the leak sort of just validated the idea that we need to build out this brand authority. It does exist. It is critical. Number two, we need to be authority on a specific topic. And so I always say, look, go define your company vision. What do you want to be great at? What do you want to be the best in the world at? And how do you want to make your customers successful through that? And that's the area of focus you need to have in terms of your content development. Google's looking for content that's tightly tied together. And so you want to be an authority. You want to be an expert in a specific area. It's not about building content too broadly. You really want to be seen as an expert in a specific area. And then finally, user experience is critical to Google. So you want to make sure that your site is fast, that people can find the information they want quickly. You want to make sure that it's engaging. And so there's three factors here. One is that you have to build out your brand authority. You just have to. Number two, you need to make sure that you're an authority on a specific topic. You're an expert on a specific topic. And number three, you need to make sure the site experience is really engaging. And now he started this off by saying, these are in conflict with what Google publicly disclosed. And a lot of people are giving Google heat on this. I will say one thing that I think is a positive takeaway from this is a lot of these factors are positive in terms of user experience. I'd say the organic search team at Google is looking to make sure the user experience is a good one. You want to make sure a website's engaging. You want to make sure when you're searching for something, you go to an authority on the topic. And you want to make sure that the brand has some weight. I would say the one negative on this from these three takeaways is that Google defaults too much to the brand authority, to the size of the website. And there's many instances where, less meaningful content, less quality content ranks from a big site, ranks above really good content from a smaller website. Google's prioritizing the size of the website too much. And they've been doing this for a while. I mean, this leak really validates that they're doing this. And so, again, Google, I think, is focused on the user experience, but it's just defaulting too much to the larger websites. Okay, the final post I want to talk about is from Neeti Patel, my fellow co-founder of Mosaic Growth Solutions. She says, SBI, the growth advisory, recently reported that less than 40% of CEOs have confidence in their team's ability to execute the organization's 2024 growth strategy. Well, what if we flip the script? I wonder what percentage of go-to-market professionals have confidence that their CEOs and executive leadership are aligned around a clearly defined and well-articulated growth strategy. And this is a really critical point because growth is an organizational-wide effort. And it's not just a checklist. It's not a go-to-market checklist of tactics that you cross off and say, okay, now we're going to get growth. There's layers to it. There's making sure you address the growth foundation, that you're measuring things correctly, that there's a growth vision, that there's alignment around it, that your team is enabled to be able to execute against this. And then there's building out your brand. So that's the next level up, building out your brand, building out a compelling brand, thinking about all the user experiences, making sure that you're developing brand awareness, that mental availability. And then there's your strategies. And so are you looking at things like product-led growth or community-led growth or partner-led growth? There's your growth strategies. And then finally, and least, are your tactics. And so if a CEO is going, look, I don't think they can execute against this, and is thinking about these go-to-market tactics residing in the go-to-market team or residing in marketing, it's going to be a growth failure. That's not the way that growth works. It's a comprehensive effort across the organization to be able to drive growth. And so the CEO can't be like, oh, my growth team is going to fail. No, it's a company thing. And that starts with the CEO. The CEO has to find, and the executive leadership team need to define their growth vision. How are we going to drive growth as an organization? And then the team has to be aligned around that. There has to be clarity and alignment around that growth vision. And then marketing and the growth teams can be successful if they're giving the leeway to actually develop across all those layers. Again, if it's not just a checklist for growth, there's not just things you can check off to be like, okay, now we're going to grow. It's this comprehensive effort across all those layers that I described. Okay, 3 points related to growth today. One, make sure you're investing in brand building. Don't let the term brand marketing throw you off. Brand building, mental availability has huge performance implications, and so you need to be investing there. Number two, from an organic search perspective, the Google algorithm leak showed us that you need to build out your brand authority. You need to be an authority, an expert on a specific topic. And then number three, you need to create an engaging website that people can easily find the information they need. And then finally, make sure that your growth initiatives are a company-wide initiative. It doesn't just reside with the go-to-market team or the marketing team. It needs to be a company-wide effort.